Ah, nice when a plan comes together. Oh, he's
Whoa.
he's a barra. Not a big fish, but look at that, it's got a tag in it. What I'm going to do is either get the number off that tag or pull the tag out, and we'll talk to Bill Soynock. We might even be able to find out when this fish was tagged, how much it's grown. And it's just on 64 centimetres, and we've got the tag number. I'll get him back in the water, swimming a little bit. Oh, he's ready. Beautiful. So Bill, I was pretty excited to catch a tagged barra here in the Fitzroy River yesterday, right in the middle of town, and you've already come up with the data, and it's really interesting. It was actually a stocked fish that was released up above the barrage. It's been out for 469 days, and it's grown 450 millimetres. That's nearly a millimetre a day. Is that phenomenal?
No, that's about normal for the stocked fish up in the freshwater. They grow very fast up there, much faster than in the saltwater, and so that's not unusual, that growth rate.
The big question from an angler's point of view, and I know you were very instrumental in getting the net-free zone declared up here, are you seeing an impact yet on barramundi numbers?
Yes, having collected information in the river for 30 odd years, we know pretty well what's going on. We even forecast each season. We make a forecast for what to expect in terms of catch rates. What we saw prior to the net-free zone was generally in the order of half a dozen or so barramundi over a metre long. We're now seeing up in the 20s and 20 plus barra. For threadfin, we only saw a very small number of threadfin over a metre long. This last year's barra bounty, there were over 50 threadfin that were a metre long, so there's really a lot of big fish in the river right now.
And what about the crystal bowl? How does that work?
Okay, what we've done is we've set up a whole series of what we call dashboards. They provide information on things like catch rates, locations where catches are occurring, things like that, size range, age of fish, and when the data comes into the database, that's updated daily. At the moment we have around about 200 dashboards, I think, with over 1,000 charts, graphs and maps that are updated daily. So as far as we know, that's a world first. There's nowhere else in the world in fisheries that are tracking data like we are in real time.
And what can you tell from looking at that data?
Well, it depends on the area. Where in areas where we do have a lot of good data, we're able to forecast fairly accurately into the next year. Where the data is much poorer, we still do forecasts, but they've got much bigger ranges on the forecasts. And when we do our forecast, we're not just talking sort of airy-fairy, oh, it's going to be better than this, it's going to be better than that. We're really talking about predicting in a size range. Like for barramundi, we predict plus or minus 20% in terms of the catch rates. So it's pretty accurate, and the last few years we've been pretty much on the money in terms of the Fitzroy. We've been able to forecast that pretty accurately. We've got a crystal bowl website where people can go there and check their own particular areas. Some of the areas have got very good data, and as I said, others are not quite so good, depending on how much information we've got. We try and collect information from as many sources as possible. We use our tagging data from the recreational taggers. We also use their catch details when they provide us with their catch information. We also have access to the fisheries boat ramp surveys. We also have access to the commercial catches, and then we have access to the weather, which is an important component in our fishery. So bringing all those things together enables us to provide a pretty comprehensive picture of what's happening in different places. We do get quite a lot of data from visiting anglers, particularly the catch details. In the past, most data was collected through boat ram surveys. We still do that to some extent, but what we try and do is to hone in on the 20% of fishers that catch 80% of the fish, because they're the ones that respond most to changes in the environment. If you see a change in the river conditions, it'll be very quickly reflected in the catches of those top 20%. We call them the T20s. And there's some scientific validity behind using those top 20% fishers. So we get a lot of good information coming in from those, and visiting anglers who we know that are good anglers, we get information from them as well as from the locals. We've developed a phone app that's becoming very popular in a lot of the fishing tournaments. Recently we've done tournaments in Tasmania, Western Australia, New South Wales and the Northern Territories.
Tell me a little bit about this voluntary code of practice.
When the net-free area came in, we decided that we wanted to make sure that the fishery in the river was sustainable. And so we asked the fishermen around as what they thought would be sustainable fishing practices. And then we came up with a voluntary code. That voluntary code has a number of elements to it. One is that we're asking people to voluntarily limit their catch to 2 barra, 2 threadfin between 60 centimetres and a metre. That's quite a bit lower than the regulations allow you to do. But the interesting thing is we've done surveys of the catches in the river. 97% of trips actually conform to the code of practice. So that's pretty good. Other elements of the code of practice include reporting illegal netting or illegal fishing activities. Also to make sure that you look after the environment and don't rubbish it. And generally those sort of activities that are going to ensure the sustainability of our river into the future. If we are to build the Fitzroy fishery here into the future, then it's absolutely imperative that we have a sustainable product there, and the only way we can do that is by making sure that we limit the catches, but also that we have the data there to understand what is happening in the river at any time.